first thing I want to take you to is a individual who just was introduced to me today, Xavier Schwint, from I believe this is in Brazil. This is a video that he just took on the 19th. Now I would expect to see this phenomenon directly from South America. Now check this out. Coincidence? That's right where I would expect to see it, guys. In the southern hemisphere right now. Now just wait a second, he's going to put a welding glass or some kind of a filter over it. These obviously are flares. This is not a flare. Watch. Usually welding glasses don't work for this because the object isn't bright enough. But in this case, my friends, it is, as you're going to see, bright enough. Still there. Welding glasses on. Why are they chemtrailing right now, huh? Next thing I want to take you to is the Davis Davis Skycam for today's picture. I was a skeptic too. This is the one that got me, man. When I saw the South Davis webcam for the first time in December, that's when I started making videos. Today I'm going to show you what happened today on the 21st of January. You can see that they're trying to chemtrail it. There's the circle still there. Now, people that are saying that this triangle is some kind of a lens guts, it's behind the clouds, guys. It's not lens guts. This isn't a scratch in the flare because it moves around the screen. Watch. Have you ever seen a scratch move across the screen? That's an object in the solar system coming towards us, you guys. It's getting closer. And I'm not telling you because I'm a fearmonger. I'm telling you so that you have a chance to prepare yourself so you're not made a slave when they try to bring order from chaos. Last thing I want to go through are images from the last couple of days. I've just been collecting image after image after image. And so I just want to take you through just a walk through the images I've collected, the best ones. I have hundreds more. Here's the South Davis again. This was a little earlier in the week where you could actually see the, see the triangle behind the clouds. Here's now what's making these particular images interesting is usually you've seen me show these from South America. This either reflection or actual, I think it's more likely it's some type of reflection, but of the phenomenon of the red dot and other phenomenon. What makes this interesting is the images we're collecting now are at night in the United States, which is the first time. Here's Evergreen, Colorado. Here's Georgia. Here's Bryan, Texas. I forget this one. I think this is Winter Haven again. Oh, no, that was in Colorado. This one's in Central Texas, all from the 20th and the 19th. This one freaked me out, man. This big red cloud in Anchorage, Alaska. At first I thought it might have been Aurora Borealis, but obviously that's red cloud matter. Evergreen, Colorado. Here's one from just a cross section that shows the phenomenon in Colorado again, only this time showing it in the side view. Here's New Mexico, 20th. I forget where this is. It's somewhere on the East Coast. All United States, by the way. Arizona. Arizona. Here might be the light emitting source. I don't know. But this phenomenon is showing up just like we saw in South America. Here's a 3-ball light that we saw I believe this is in Ohio. Here's a picture where we actually saw the other object above it. This is in North America. I believe this is from my friend Teresa Caldwell. This is just a little phenomenon I saw happening the other day. Quasar at night now, we're seeing the phenomenon. And here's the beginning of the space image that we talked about before. Here's a red cloud that we see every night now in Germany in certain sky cams where we actually see a red glow. This one freaks me out. This is again Teresa Caldwell, but she did a little bit of adjustment on this photo, I admit. But what it did was it brought out this strange appearance of the sky and the clouds. It's just not normal, man. That's just not normal. Townley Observatory, same phenomenon. My good old webcams, but what I thought was interesting about this is not necessarily the black dot, the reflection of the black dot, but the, you know, here we are with the plume again, the reflection or the lens flare. This one I thought was interesting because it actually showed it on the image at 2100, and this would be off the East Coast somewhere. But this, you know, you don't see the lens flare show up on this part of it, guys. Okay, it just doesn't happen. And then this is somewhere in the mountains in the United States, January 20th. Here's Overgard, Arizona. Here's Post Observatory Mayhill, New Mexico. In this one we're seeing the little dot, and that looks like a cloud in the lenticular structure. But again, we're seeing this large expression of what I believe to be wormwood, either reflection or direct. Carrizo, New Mexico, same thing. Albury, California, saw the phenomenon again here and here. Not a good one in Boulder, but what I thought was interesting is we had some streaking and things like that going on in the imagery. This one blew my mind because if you look at past videos, I actually see the pattern of this planet. There should be a blue one up here somewhere, but this orbiting either pulsar or star or whatever that is, or planet, and the one behind it, that's a pattern that we've been seeing a lot of sky cams. This one's just interesting because it's so bright. And then we're back to the Davis sky cams again. Winter Haven, Florida, etc.
Is the SPT telescope that's tracking the Nibiru system. There won't be much of mini chemtrails over in the South Pole because this is what they're doing right now to this very hour. So now I'm going to show you an image of the typical skies from higher populated areas across our world. Here is a typical sighting of the skies of today. It is so clear and evident that this is indeed a cover-up. Can you see that chemtrail, that shadow to the right side, and reflections from that lens that they're using, that technology above our Earth's atmosphere to cover up the Nibiru system. They do not want anybody to look at this, so this is what they do. This is a typical chemtrail as the pilot sprays the area of the skies, turns the chemicals off, and then restarts and turns them on again, leaving gaps in the skies, manipulating our cloud systems and our atmosphere. You can see clearly on this chem plane 6 nozzles for the chemtrails and 4 engines. Looking closely as well, you can see where they're spraying from the nozzles. This is happening again every single day, covering our skies, and they are getting away with this. We get many emails come through as well of reports of fake chemtrail planes, holographic, chem drones, other technology that's being used, spread across the skies. You can see these. If you look on our horizons, you can clearly see these strange different colours of smoke, chemicals that are being produced to make more thickness of the sky across where we see the sun. Here is a typical image of our skies today. We are seeing again the white sun, many chemical lines, strange formations in these chemtrails. I mean, look at the HARP cloud system. They are using HARP on full power. Chemicals, chem lines in the skies, different colours beaming off the area that we see of this simulator, this sun that's behind it, showing the truth, showing the different reflections. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now produce more images as well, coming in right now to this hour, showing the truth by these fantastic people in our community. Here we have an image that's come in from Iris Turner from Florida. I'm going to zoom in and show you this image. What we're seeing here again is a typical chemtrail that's in the center of the screen. Let me just zoom in closer for you for this as well. Get this sorted. What we're seeing here again is chem lines. These are not natural. These have just come in. So again, in Florida, they are spraying the skies very heavily. Can you see again this reflector? Look at the shape of this. They don't want you to see this. They don't want you to see the different colors. It's far too bright on the screen here. Here we go again. We've got the typical chemtrail. We've got the strange reflection that's above the area, again, from the reflector. Chem lines. Everything on the screen is just poison. It's not natural. It's not good for any of us. When you look at the photograph again in detail, you can see the dimming that's going on. The natural sun is behind this. You're starting to see that red haze. And also, with the cloud systems, they're being pushed to one side. The reflection is wrong as well. It's fluorescent. Even on the ground, where Iris lives, in Florida, you can see that dark shadow. She's collecting these photographs daily to produce, to show you exactly what's going on. And indeed, it is serious, isn't it? Because something that's not being said by media is very, very serious. They don't want you to see or look up to this truth. Let me move to now Iris's next photo. Here we have the next image that's come in again from Florida. Now look in detail with this photograph, okay? Look on the ground, look at the grass, the trees, even the road. The reflection is wrong from this object in our skies. It is not our sun. Our sun would produce a golden reflection, a natural colour reflection in the skies. Beaming down to the ground, you can see a number of chemtrails being sprayed, one in the centre of the screen, one to the right. And what I was looking at in detail was this red haze around the area that we see the reflector just above, reflecting on those strange formations. That red colour is coming through from the Nibiru system. Look again on the horizon to the right side. You're seeing those lowered cloud formations. The natural clouds are not doing anything. They're not protecting us. From when you look at those clouds on the horizons, think back to the 1980s. You remember that those cloud formations were in front of the natural sun. This proves as well that our sun is in deep trouble. It's acting very strange. It's dimming. It's darkening. Without the reflector, we would just see a very dark sky all through the day. And then people would straight away, without a shadow of a doubt, wake up to the truth. On the next photograph that's just recently come in, I'm going to show you this lower cloud formation. It is important to see this because our sun in the past, again, when you see those cloud formations on the screen to the right hand side, they should be in the area covering our natural sun, but indeed they're not. Now, this system that's out there in our solar system is affecting our Earth's magnetic field. Let me zoom in to have a look round on this photograph as well, because I find this to be very interesting too. Looking down here, we can see loads of chemtrails, chem lines in the skies. Here is our natural cloud formations. But when this dimming occurs, which I've spoke about in the past as well, just like on Iris's photos, look again, this cloud formation should be white and bright with a slight golden haze from the natural sun. But what we're seeing is a dimming, a dark sky showing this dark cloud system. It's not natural what we're seeing here on the screen. Going here also, we're seeing formations, chem formations, a pink haze, but also this reflector that's beaming the wrong colour. It's happening every place right now, even through the UK as well. We're seeing this happening. Many people are now emailing from the UK explaining that they are looking up and they are taking notice and watching the channel and seeing these big differences. everybody in our community knows what's going on. This is the last attachment from Iris. Look at those strange formations in the skies. Here we have to the right hand side the reflector. Those chemtrails again make the reflector beam a lot stronger when those chemicals react to the light sources up there. Look at the left side, we've got a pink haze. Everything on the screen again is unnatural. When you look down to the ground, to our Earth, where we live, we would like then to also see the blue sky, the yellow sun and normal cloud formations. So with these photos, this is just showing the truth that this agenda is still carrying on. Okay, now I've just had an email as well that came in 8 hours ago at 3:07 p.m. from Florida. It states as well, does any of this look normal? Large dark shadows. Now I'm going to now show you these attachments because again this is very important. Okay, on the first attachment it all looks normal, but indeed it isn't. We've got to look through the cloud system and notice what they've been doing above. Let's just check this out here on the photograph. If we zoom in, we are starting to see what is going on. Can you see the chemtrails? Can you see these strange formations in the sky again? Chemicals. Everything here. We've got the chemical lines, chemtrails here as well. I mean, it's all again just above the cloud systems being sprayed heavily. Just another huge cover up of the skies. Let's just zoom out on this as well. We go back out. There's lots of things going on here on the photograph, isn't there? Please observe the skies. Now, what you're seeing as well is a dark shadow, just here. Can you see the blue skies here, and down here and here? We've got a dark shadow that's being covered up. They are spraying the skies. I mean, look at this. Just zoom in for you one more time. Looking at the skies again. Here we go. Here it is. The dark shadow. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to another photograph. Okay, with this next photograph that's come in, we can see what's happening, can't we? There is strange formations up in the heavens. To the right hand side you're seeing the simulator. Look at the dark shadow to the left side. On the buildings just below as well you can see this white dark dimming of the area that we're seeing of this reflector again. All the photos are just showing the truth. I mean, look again, look at these chem lines in the skies. Every single day it's a cover up. Like I said just earlier on the video, the news media, the weather channels are still saying that everything is normal. But again, when you look at the photographs that have just come in very recently from Florida, it is indeed not normal. Look at the dark shadow above on this photo. To the right side you've got that pink haze cutting through. You've got the reflector, the area that we see of the sun. The yellow sun that was there before many years ago has now changed its colour. On the photograph here as well, something is going on. Look straight at the area that we believe to be the sun. Can you see that pink colour reflecting through on that cloud formation? Look at the dark shadows, chemtrails above as well. It is totally a big cover up. Now, I've got many more photos that are going to come through on another video.
Nibiru? Planet X is coming.
Have not been that many explanations even attempted over the last 150 years. It's naturally explained by Planet 9 being exactly where we think Planet 9 is, which it's one of these mysteries that we think is now solved. That's been such a mystery that people haven't even really talked about it very much over the last 150 years because it's just been so difficult to think of why it is.
It has been known since the mid-1800s that the sun is tilted. Over the years, people have put forth various explanations for it. One possibility is that the sun was interacting with the protoplanetary disk via magnetic fields. It's also possible that the disk was just asymmetrical from the beginning. And it's also possible that the sun actually had a stellar companion a long time ago.
It was a moment of inspiration. Not all projects start out this way. Not all results really come. Some of them come, it slowly dawns on you. We were sitting in Constantine's office one afternoon, and we were actually thinking about a different problem entirely, which is how Planet 9 would interact with these very distant objects in the Kuiper belt that made us originally think that Planet 9 was there. And in just a moment, as we're thinking about it, and we're doing this with our hands, trying to think of directions things are going, I think we both realized at about the same time. It's like, oh, it's going to make the sun look tilted too. And it was very clear from the way we did our fingers that it was going to make an effect. What we didn't know until we did the calculations was how much of an effect was it going to have and in what direction was it going to go. But we knew it had to do something.
Planet 9 has been scattered out into the distant solar system. So because it has an orbital period that's so long, it has an enormous amount of angular momentum, right? As much almost as the rest of the solar system combined. So even though as an object it is not as massive as Jupiter, it has a huge lever bar. Okay? And using that lever bar, it can effectively torque the rest of the disk of the solar system by 6 degrees over the age of the sun.
Next, always next on our list is find the planet. We think we have it narrowed down to a pretty small patch in the sky that we have to look at. Small patch in the sky still means we need many, many nights on the telescope. We're pretty convinced that by maybe the end of next winter, we will have been able to cover enough sky that we'll actually be able to find it. When we find it, we both show that this hypothesis has been correct, we learn about it, but we also see how much of the sun, how it should have tilted the sun too, and see if this is the only thing that's been tilting the sun, or if other things are around doing it. When we looked at the outer solar system, we realized that while most of the very distant objects, these objects beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, most of these objects, they all go around the sun and they're all sort of pointing off in all different directions, but the most distant objects all swing out in one direction in a very strange way that shouldn't happen. And we realized that the only way we could get them to all swing in one direction is if there is a massive planet also very distant in the solar system, keeping them in place while they all go around the sun. And we started looking at this and thinking, this must be either a coincidence or it's caused by something else. It can't be caused by a planet because that's crazy. There are no planets out there. I went from trying very hard to be skeptical that what we were talking about was true to suddenly thinking, oh, this actually might even be true.
So the object itself likely is more massive than the Earth, probably a little bit less massive than Neptune. It sits right in between that terrestrial to giant icy planet range. Its orbit, unlike the orbits of the known planets, is not nearly circular and planar. Instead, it is exceptionally wide, 20 times bigger than the orbit of Neptune. The orbital period of the Earth is, of course, 1 year. Right? The orbital period of Jupiter, the big player in our solar system, is about 10 years. The orbital period of this putative 9th planet is 20,000 years.
We have nothing like it in the solar system, so it's new for us. It is, however, the most common mass of planets that have been found around all of the other stars. People have always looked at all these other planets in this strange mass range and said, wow, I wonder what these are. I don't know what these are because we don't have anything like it in the solar system. Looks like maybe we do. I'm really hoping that as we announce this, people start a worldwide search to go find this 9th planet.
Again, solar stream is coming from the right. That's where the sun is. All the plasma in the blue is being blown backwards. That's a part of our protective shield here. 2 hours missing, 5:37, exactly the same time. Everything goes haywire. Come up to that point again. Everything's coming from the right. Bam. Now the black lines are our field lines. That's our magnetic field lines. Very important. They have now bent backwards at this point. People have talked about Planet X, Nibiru, Planet 7. If there's an object coming in, would it have orbiting planets? Would it have debris with it?
So this is some stuff that piqued my curiosity that I'm sharing with you here. All of this stuff will be linked. I suggest you go to the Caltech thing and watch the whole video. But anyways, I'm going to try and get through this quickly for you. Planet X to really cause mass extinction this month. This is April 9th, 2016. We're going to come down here. Thanks to science, we know that the larger the celestial body, the bigger its gravity, and consequently its ability to affect other, smaller bodies around it. We've known of Jupiter's crucial role in protecting us from asteroids for quite some time now, but the mysterious Nibiru could very well do the opposite, and some say there's good reason to believe it. We're going to come down here. A retired astrophysics professor from the University of Louisiana, Daniel Whitmire, is saying Nibiru has all but arrived to our neck of the woods, and that the destruction brought about by its gravitational trickery will take place this very April, as it's done numerous times before. Then we're going to come down here. Earlier this year, we started seeing space anomalies manifesting in a small group of objects, which have been taking on a peculiar orbit. Only something 10 times the size of the Earth, as theorized with Nibiru, could influence celestial objects in such a way, according to a study from Caltech. The anomaly was picked up on in the Kuiper Belt, which stretches all the way past Neptune, and it resurrected a 100-year debate. And then we're going to come over here, because again, this stuff just piqued my curiosity, and I wanted to share it with you. This is fire officials' reclaim report of possible meteor strike in Bowie. This is Bowie, Maryland. This was on April 25th, 2016. And we're going to come down here, where this was put out by the Bowie Volunteer Fire Department. Possible meteorite strike behind Scarlet Oak Terrace causing a massive brush fire. And then we're going to come up here and see that when firefighters made it to the site, there was a large pit, which was 12 to 15 feet wide by 5 to 6 feet deep. And the fire spread to adjacent trees and brush and took approximately 15 firefighters 4 hours to extinguish. But again, they came out and said, nope, that should have never been put out. The post should have never listed a meteorite as the cause. Okay. Okay, so now we're coming over here. Was it a meteor? Solving the mystery of New Jersey's tsunami buoy. April 25th, 2016. A tsunami warning device about 200 miles off the coast of New Jersey went into event mode over the weekend, but there were no giant waves threatening the shore. There was speculation that the drop could have been triggered by a meteor because the Lyrid meteor showers were active during the weekend. There also was speculation a submarine could have struck the buoy. So again, this stuff just piqued my curiosity, want to share. We're going to move here. Okay, so now here we are, coast to coast. This was from March 30th, 2016. In the first half of the show, retired investigative researcher Bob Fletcher talked about his contention that a rogue Planet X or Nibiru is coming our way and the disastrous effects it could have for Earth. He first became suspicious that something was afoot when he discovered that massive amounts of money were being funneled out of the government and the Federal Reserve. He concluded that these funds were surreptitiously used for the construction and stocking of underground facilities that will house the elite and members of the New World Order, while the arrival of Planet X wreaks cataclysms upon the planet's surface. According to his sources, the knowledge of Planet X dates as far back as 1983. So again, I was just like, well, that's interesting. And so we're coming over here because I remember hearing about Rumsfeld talking about the missing $2.3 trillion that they couldn't track on September 10th. And we all know what happened on September 11th, 2001. Nobody was talking about the missing money. So I Googled just to see, and there was this one, which brought me over here. So here we are, debunked. Rumsfeld says 2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon. In 2001, Donald Rumsfeld said, according to some estimates, we cannot track 2.3 trillion in transactions. This has been misinterpreted by many people as 2.3 trillion actually going missing. However, it's really just about the way the money was accounted for. So here's the original source. Go look at it for yourself, right? Okay. Oh, well, golly gee. Page not found. Okay, well, there was another link, right? Here, we can also see this. Huh. No input file specified, but yes, there was. So again, this has gone long, but it really, really piqued my curiosity. And I wanted to share it because, again, trying to put the pieces together. Here we are. He first became suspicious that something was afoot when he discovered that massive amounts of money were being funneled out of the government. And then, I don't know. This just made me go, that's interesting.
What we have discovered is that numerous features of the Kuiper Belt, a field of icy debris beyond the orbit of Neptune, can be understood if the solar system possesses an additional 9th planet that resides well beyond the orbits of the known planets.
When we looked at the outer solar system, we realized that while most of the very distant objects, these objects beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, most of these objects, they all go around the sun and they're all sort of pointing off in all different directions. But the most distant objects all swing out in one direction in a very strange way that shouldn't happen. And we realized that the only way we could get them to all swing in one direction is if there is a massive planet also very distant in the solar system, keeping them in place while they all go around the sun. And we started looking at this and thinking, this must be either a coincidence or it's caused by something else. It can't be caused by a planet because that's crazy. There are no planets out there. I went from trying very hard to be skeptical that what we were talking about was true to suddenly thinking, oh, this actually might even be true.
So the object itself likely is more massive than the Earth, probably a little bit less massive than Neptune. It sits right in between that terrestrial to giant icy planet range. Its orbit, unlike the orbits of the known planets, is not nearly circular and planar. Instead, it is exceptionally wide, 20 times bigger than the orbit of Neptune. The orbital period of the Earth is, of course, 1 year. Right? The orbital period of Jupiter, the big player in our solar system, is about 10 years. The orbital period of this putative 9th planet is 20,000 years.
We have nothing like it in the solar system, so it's new for us. It is, however, the most common mass of planets that have been found around all of the other stars. People have always looked at all these other planets in this strange mass range and said, wow, I wonder what these are. I don't know what these are because we don't have anything like it in the solar system. Looks like maybe we do. There are many telescopes on the Earth that actually have a chance of being able to find it. And I think that many people will be inspired to use their telescopes. I'm really hoping that as we announce this, people start a worldwide search to go find this 9th planet.
History shows us that it's a bad idea to consistently say we have now reached the end of the solar system and there's nothing beyond what we already know.
And all those people who are mad that Pluto is no longer a planet can be thrilled to know that there's a real planet out there still to be found.
February is Fireball Month. NASA has photographed about half a dozen of these bizarre slow-moving, deep-diving fireballs. Their sizes vary from basketballs to buses. Where are all the strange meteors are coming from? They all hail from the asteroid belt, but not from a single location in the asteroid belt, said Bill Cook of the Meteoroid Environment Office at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. There is no common source for these fireballs, which is puzzling. There have been 5 or 6 notable fireballs that might have dropped meteorites around the United States alone. Germany and Japan have also had notable sightings. February 1st, a meteor lit up the skies over central Texas, putting on a dazzling show for people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It was extremely bright and took 8 seconds to cross the sky, said eyewitness Darren Moore, and I could see the fireball start to slow down, then it exploded like a firecracker artillery shell into several pieces, flickered a few more times, and then slowly burned out. As bright as the full moon, the fireball was spotted by NASA cameras in New Mexico, more than 500 miles, 805 kilometers, away. It was likely caused by an object 3 to 6 feet, 1 to 2 meters, wide, NASA researchers said. These fireballs are particularly slow in penetrating, meteor expert Peter Brown, a physics professor at the University of Western Ontario, said in a statement. They hit the top of the atmosphere moving slower than 15 kilometers per second, 33,500 miles per hour, decelerate rapidly and make it to within 50 kilometers, 31 miles, of Earth's surface. And the meteors have kept coming. My question is, what is knocking our asteroid belt around out there?
Hey folks, it's Thursday, October 17th, about 11 o'clock Mountain Time, 2013. Fire in the Sky news tonight here at the American Meteor Society. Started the day off with a bang, a major event over California. Many witnesses saw a spectacular fireball, which we are now referring to as rock stars instead of shooting stars, because people are seeing something that is just not typical, in my opinion. These reports are quite dramatic. And right now, we're getting some reports starting to come in from the East Coast, from Maryland, Potomac, Towson, and Severn. And one person describes it as definitely one of the coolest things he's ever seen. Another person described it as fragmenting. It broke into many pieces. Gave it a -9 and -13 respectively. The one out of the Potomac, they didn't give much of a description, so it's orange, red, and brown. And again, multiple chunks moving in tandem with the main object. And this one here, they did hear a sound, popping, whistling sound, and that was out of the Potomac. So I'm sure there'll be more reports associated with that. And that, like I said, that just come in within the last hour. And one thing I'd like to ask you guys while I've got you here, the last couple of days, and this is just a question I want to ask, if any of you people are feeling like extremely tired, included, I have to be honest, today, for some reason this afternoon, and I don't normally get this way, I got really super tired, joints were aching and stuff like that, and that's not like me at all. My wife, same symptoms. My 14-year-old daughter. And the only reason we're bringing it up is because she's feeling the same way. And not only her, keep in mind she's a teenager that's highly active in dance and all kinds of stuff. A lot of her friends in high school are having the same complaints. These are high school kids, teenagers. I mean, they're young, running wild, but there's many of her students at school that are saying they're just very super tired, have been the last 2 days. They just feel run down. Not necessarily sick, but just super tired. So I told my wife I would ask if any of you guys have been feeling those symptoms or know anybody that has. I don't know, maybe it's just a change in the weather. I don't know. It doesn't really change that much out here where I live, but I just wanted to ask, anybody feeling tired the last couple of days?
The fireball flew Friday night. The East Coast does not mean the end of Western civilization as we know it. Although you may have succumbed to the prophecy that some social media stopped running. The sky lit along the entire U.S. East Coast. Those who saw it described it as a thin stripe of blue-green-white, explains Chip Guy, who was driving in eastern Maryland when he and his family saw him. It did not last more than 8 or 9 seconds, and then disappeared, said a spokesman Guy, Sussex County, Delaware. Frankly, I did not think too much about it, he says, but became concerned when he published it in the web of the local media. Triggered a rapid and overwhelming. That was just the tip of the iceberg of what was going to happen that night. Throughout Friday night, every few seconds a message appeared on Twitter from someone who had seen the meteor. Some of the messages were from the cities of New York and Washington.
Dabu 7, we've had a huge fireball over Oregon today. The news here is reporting that multiple people got shots of this and sent in pictures, and they wasn't sure exactly what this object. There's a streak here, but there's an object right here in the frame, and I'm not sure what this is. If this is what they were seeing, there's no trail off of it. There's no smoke. There's no nothing. And that is way too large to be a bird. For a bird to look like that, it had to be somewhere up here in this tree line, somewhere up in this area, not way out there like that. I mean, I guess it could be a possibility, but I'm not sure if that's the object they're talking about or not. When looking at the other pics, it is clear. This is the fireball that they are talking about. This pic is similar to the other, but there's nothing up here. This is a very good shot here. Almost pyramid type structure as it comes crashing down to Earth. Almost pyramid type structure. See it once again there and again here. So very interesting indeed. Fireball over Oregon. This is Dabu 7 reporting on a wild electric fireball taking place inside of Canada.
That is fucking one. Oh my god.
Debris. As you watch these explosions come off, it highlights both energy that's blown off the sun, debris, and energy that's in the solar system, surrounding the sun, between Earth and the sun. Again, this is SDO, a different satellite, but still Earth-facing. And we got some problems here with these three sunspots. One has already went beta, gamma, alpha to the far right there. The ones in the center is growing. We're getting the larger actual flares from the center one here. But I'm going to show you the charts on them. Also, notice in the top, this is that coronal hole that we had with the heat, and we've had a Hyder flare right there. That filament that we were watching yesterday, you can't see it rise because we're looking straight at it. But notice the wave that comes out at the bottom on both sides. That's called a Hyder flare. You can Google that, H-Y-D-E-R. But that's when a filament rises, the gravity of the sun pulls it back down and it collapses. Notice how it goes over that dark purple, that heat of the sun. Check that out. Now, I'm going to go through a couple different cameras here, but we've got filaments that have... That's the tail end one there as the Hyder flare collapsed, and see how far it reached. Remember, it takes 109 Earths if you place them across the face of the sun to cover the distance, to give you an idea of how massive each one of these objects that we're looking at. Again, in the dark green there, that's the coronal hole. And I'm going to stop this and pause it on these strong flares. Again, Earth-facing images from the Solar Dynamics Observatory there. And I'll show you these on the charts. It's the strongest one in a few weeks. There, look at that arc, the power inside that. It's huge. And that's what's happening is these sunspots are growing and spots around them are. Check this out on the close-up. But the SDO is by far our best camera, guys. It's to watch the sun with. You don't have the Earth's atmosphere as you do from ground-based telescopes, and they can really analyze, and you can too with the different cameras. Here's our peak. We went to an M3 that notice started on the 27th, up through the different flares, and then this one. That's the strongest one. And if you go back almost in a couple weeks, guys, and you can see there as I was doing the video, just a slight uptick. But we're going to watch this. All three of those sunspots are strong, and they're Earth-facing. You can see the three there, 13 and 34 here on the right. Beta, gamma, delta. See that with the red arrow? That's what you need for X flares. Now 36 is going to be right behind it. It is beta, gamma, and probably by tomorrow you're going to see that one capable of X flares. You can see the different colorations in both areas there, guys. That's telling you that you're getting a mixture of magnetic fields. Looking at the proton chart from the ACE satellites, and let's look at the flare tracker. This is the one this morning out to the left. Check that out. I'm going to let it play back through. Very strong. Notice also ISON in the pink square according to this model. Now, it's not exactly accurate, but you can see that it's well past Earth. And the size of that flare is enormous. We've had one left and right. The Earth is in the green dot just behind ISON. Excuse me, in the yellow dot just behind ISON. And the light pink square is the MAVEN satellite. They're saying they're going to launch it out to Mars next. Now, looking at the American Meteorite Society website, guys, notice Texas, Nevada, and that's on the dates of the 29th. They came in today. This was last night. San Jose, California, Turlock, Wiley, Katy, Texas, San Antonio, Cleburne, Universal City, and Las Vegas. And also, a third report came in from the UK. And this is the map from last night of the sightings. But that's Edinburgh. And you can come here, and I'll link to this. This is the Lunar Meteorite Hunter site. Notice here the Meteor Alert Large Bolide Meteorite events expected from the 26th up to January 2014. Excuse me, up to the 12th of January 2014. And guys, that's when we're really in the center of the debris field, is the 12th. We're not past that of the incoming trail of ISON before it went around the sun. It's a heads up on this, guys, and we have got a schedule on our next radio show that will be 30 minutes after Paul Begley's show Monday afternoon. That's 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central Time. But we're going to go there, watch his show, and then we're going to take the latest incoming on reports. And I encourage everyone to call in. Guys, the first show was kind of a technological disaster like I expected it to be. But sometimes you just got to jump in instead of being afraid to do it and learn it. And if you guys want to do that or make videos, just do it. Throw it out there and you'll learn, and I'm learning. But guys, we had about 700 and something people all together. And that's pretty good. And even though all the tech switches on my end weren't working properly, it was a great show, and I appreciate everyone calling in, and I encourage it. We're going to take calls, and we're going to let you talk about what you feel like is important. Heads up, be safe.
That exploded over Russia gave 2.2% of the population burns to their skin. New research says an explosion such as this, we actually could expect once at least every 25 years. Brighter than the sun, studying new details on the meteor that exploded over Russia. Thanks largely to eyewitness and video footage, researchers have documented Chelyabinsk with incredible detail. It was a blast felt around the world when the Chelyabinsk meteor exploded over Russia in February. Its shockwave was powerful enough to emit subsonic waves to far-flung regions across the planet. It says that the result that day, by watching various amateur video clips of the rock as it soared towards the Earth, the team was able to determine key elements shown in the illustration below. Among them are the meteor's precise trajectory, its speed upon entering the atmosphere, exactly where it fragmented into smaller pieces, and the point at which that explosion shone most powerful. That moment, a searing bright flash 30 times stronger than the sun, actually caused severe sunburns among bystanders. Shockwaves from the fireball, the team concluded, caused damage to an area up to 50 miles from the meteor's trajectory on either side. Fortunately, the largest fragment from the explosion, a 1,250-pound meteorite, hit a frozen lake. The team was able to recover that piece, and their subsequent analysis revealed that the rock, a relatively ordinary chondrite space rock, was more than 4,400 million years old. A new study published this week in Nature warns that the likelihood of events like chili spunk is 10 times higher than experts had thought, making the phenomenon one we can expect every 25 years or so. Here's the illustration of its impact and where it was felt.
That was previously censored, hidden, showing us what appeared to be Planet X, also known as Nibiru, and according to in-depth studies, it's allegedly heading towards Earth, towards us. NASA has clearly been lying to us, and there's more on this as to how the calculations state to show that it's coming towards us. That's why NASA has been lying to us, not to have a worldwide panic, but now they revealed it. Could they be lying to us about other events that people have been sounding the alarm about? The answer is yes. But first, from an article on the NASA website, published a little over a year ago, that was March 7th, 2004. Quote, after searching hundreds of millions of objects across our sky, NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, that's the acronym WISE, has turned up no evidence of the hypothesized celestial body in our solar system, commonly dubbed Planet X. Researchers previously have theorized about the existence of this large but unseen celestial body, expected to lie somewhere beyond the orbit of Pluto. In addition to Planet X, the body had garnered other nicknames, including Nemesis and Tyche. This recent study, which involved an examination of WISE data, that's the infrared Saturn or larger, exists out of the distance of 10,000 astronomical units, AU. And no object larger than Jupiter exists out to 26,000 AU units. 1 astronomical unit equals 93 million miles. That's the Earth. The Earth is 1 astronomical unit, Pluto about 40 astronomical units from the Sun. So 1 AU is the distance from the Earth to the Sun. And within 24 hours of the original discovery back in 1983, the media was completely silent. And it says here, see here a quote from the article posted in Telehub June 7, 2014. In November of 1983, NASA's IRIS infrared telescope discovered an unbelievably huge, massive, what looked like a slowly burning star, a big object headed right towards our solar system from the region of Orion, stated Dr. Jason Rand, researcher and author of the book Return of Planet X, in his opening remarks during the historical interview, pointing out how openly and well announced the discovery was that day. However, like clockwork, 24 hours later the media was completely silent on the matter, and you heard not even a peep as national security protocols were implemented in the highest levels of the government and media, and from then on it would be almost a complete informational blackout. The public didn't name Planet X, the government did. That's the first rule of Planet X 101, Rand pointed out passionately. Rand then made mention of the 1984 U.S. News and World Report article, which revealed yet another clue to what NASA found. They named it a brown dwarf star, said Rand. Embedded in this article is a YouTube video by David Morrison of NASA denying the existence of Planet X. He's the NASA senior scientist, David Morrison, PhD. The IntelliHub article goes on to say, Zachariah Sitchin, renowned author and researcher, has stated that Planet X flies through space in a highly elliptical orbit approaching Earth from the south on an angular plane, then slingshotting around the backside of the Sun before exiting back out of our solar system every 3,600 years. So maybe that was the time of the Exodus of Moses. That was about 1,500 BC. So it seems that we're in the range of that time period. It has also been said that you can only see the brown dwarf star approaching low on the horizon from a vantage point of the Earth's southern hemisphere, making spotting the planet early on difficult for most of the world population. And also intriguing in relation to its name, Nibiru. In a Wikipedia entry on Zachariah Sitchin, it states, according to Sitchin's interpretation of Mesopotamian iconography and symbology outlined in his book dated 1976, The 12th Planet, and its sequels, there is an undiscovered planet beyond Neptune that follows a long elliptical orbit reaching the inner solar system roughly every 3,600 years. This planet is called Nibiru, although Jupiter was a planet associated with the god Marduk in Babylonian cosmology. According to Sitchin, Nibiru, whose name was replaced with Marduk in original legends by the Babylonian ruler of the same name in an attempt to co-opt the creation for himself, leading to some confusion among readers, collided catastrophically with Tiamat, a goddess in the Babylonian collision supposedly formed the planet Earth, the asteroid belt, and the comets. Sitchin states that when struck by one of the planet Nibiru's moons, Tiamat split in two, and then on a second pass, Nibiru itself struck the broken fragments, and one half of Tiamat became the asteroid belt. The second half, struck again by one of Nibiru's moons, was pushed into a new orbit and became today's planet Earth. Could this account for the increasing changes in weather, seasons, and tides, volcanic activity, tectonic activity, and more, even tornadoes now striking as early as June? As I stated in my feature video at the beginning of this article, heavenly bodies approaching Earth's atmosphere do indeed cause significant changes in the magnetic activity, she says. And for many years now, governments have been keenly aware of an approaching celestial body, or as well known as a brown dwarf star, as well as 3,600-year cycle of destruction, and clearly discussed in the ancient Sumerian cylinder seals, as well as other ancient documents. The Washington Post article dated December 30th, 1983 on page A1 states, a heavenly body, possibly as large as the giant planet Jupiter, and possibly so close to Earth that it would be part of this solar system, has been found in the direction of the constellation Orion by an orbiting telescope aboard the U.S. infrared astronomical satellite. So mysterious is the object that astronomers do not know if it's a planet, a giant comet, a nearby protostar that never got hot enough to become a star, a distant galaxy so young that it's still in the process of forming its first stars, or a galaxy so shredded in dust that none of the light cast by its stars ever gets through. All I can tell you is that we don't know what it is, said Dr. Jerry Neubauer, IRA's chief scientist for California's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and director of the Palomar Observatory of the California Institute of Technology. And he said in an interview, see also article from Discovery News referring to Nibiru as an imaginary planet and harshly criticizing those who believe in such a thing. So they're contradicting what the scientists said in December of '83. That's interesting. Scientists are contradicting each other. Planet X Nibiru exists. Planet X Nibiru doesn't exist. From an article issuing a statement NASA was forced to publicly make weeks ago, it said, NASA knows of no asteroid or comet currently on a collision course with Earth, so the probability of a major collision is quite small, said a NASA spokesman. In fact, as best as we can tell, no large object is likely. Now Google Sky uncovers an area in space that was previously censored, hidden, showing us what appears to be Planet X Nibiru, And from what it says in IntelliHub, for years it's been speculated by conspiracy theorists and some astronomers that Google Sky had been censoring what's known as Planet X or Nibiru from the general public's view online. And now, shockingly, this massive swath of Google Sky that was covering up what was, of course, the bright winged Planet X Nibiru that was censored has been made visible by Google for anyone wishing to see, for our viewing pleasure. As of now, it's currently unknown why Google restricted access and why it unrestricted access to the planetary system, which was the focus of the late Zecharia Sitchin, who wrote numerous publications on the planet Nibiru. And that is the image we have with a close-up shot in 2005. You can see the winged disk as described by Sitchin and others, and it's almost uncanny. The system is currently located at 5 hours, 42 minutes, 21 seconds. There's another interesting YouTube video embedded in this article by Gilles Broussard of the YouTube channel Planet 7X, and his video is entitled Summary of Events of Planet 7X. It's interesting, we should all watch it, very informative. Based on his calculations, he believes Nibiru should go past the Earth on March 26, 2016, on Passover. That's the Easter period. He also believes that based on his in-depth research, this has always brought some major biblical event. The 3,600-year cycle, that is. Here is his future video in this. It's embedded in the article. I'll leave a link below for you. You can see this. And there is a video by Paul Begley as well, and he mentions the same thing as well, what Gilles Broussard has done. And they refer to, of course, biblical prophecy. So, and this is what Broussard states in his About section on his YouTube channel. He says, is Planet X real, and is it biblical? My main focus is to inform viewers of the findings in the field of biblical astronomy, and how these resulting anomalies correlate to biblical records. 3 years of research along with astronomical software models of each event that have a repeated overlay to a depth and degree to which the data cross-validated itself was beyond expectations. And it says, Number 1, a representative portion of the information collected. Number 2, charts, graphs, and other data supporting the existence of a mystery planet, which is called Planet 7X, for 7 times Earth's diameter. Number 3, there's a very strong evidence indicating its imminent end time appearance. So he says he doesn't claim to have all the answers, but the considerable research that he's conducted is accurate to the extent of his ability to correlate the data. So I'll leave a link below for you. This is very interesting, worthwhile watching these YouTube videos, especially of the Gilles Broussard, Planet 7X. God bless you and God help us all. This is, of course, our Lord Jesus Christ's prophecy, as what he told his disciples, what would come before the second coming.